My next guest is Brandon Bulletproof Glanton, and he joins us here on the Zapata Brand Boxing Podcast.
Next up on the Zapata Brand Podcast, this rising prospect has been featured on ProBox TV. After his latest KO victory, he now has his sights set on the WBO International Cruiserweight title. The Zapata Brand welcomes Atlanta's own Brandon Bulletproof Glanton.
Well, my next guest, 18-2, fighting this week, Sunday, for the WBO International Cruiserweight Championship. It is Brandon Bulletproof Glanton. Brandon, how are you?
I'm well. How you doing?
Very good. It's a pleasure to have you on. I've been watching you grow on ProBox, the series. And I will tell you, you remind me of a fighter, and it's totally a little bit opposite, though. You have what he didn't have, that if he did have, he would have gotten a little farther. You remind me of Bruce Seldon, the way how you move your head and how you box. Very well built. The only thing that you have that he never had was a chin, and you have a heart that I've not seen I haven't seen a heart in someone like you in a long time, since Evander Holyfield in the Cruiserweight division.
There you go. There we go.
So
it's my pleasure to be able to be mentioned among him. So
yes, and again, I find it an honor to sit here and talk to you. But let me go back a little bit, because people might not know you, and I like to get when fighters come on my podcast who are just up and coming like you yourself, is to go back and have my audience be invested in who you are. You have a big time high school and college career in football. College football and football itself is big in the South, and it's huge here in Northeast Pennsylvania. Give us a little background on where you came from as far as your football career first.
So, I started playing football when I was 6. I played all the way through high school, went to Albany State University, and I played a couple years there as a nose guard. So we played a 3-4 defense, and I was clogging the hole. So boxing came along after my second season. I was working at Kmart as loss prevention. And a buddy of mine, shout out Corey Wilson, he was doing MMA at the time. He was an amateur MMA fighter, and he invited me to come to his boxing gym. So, it started off more so as a bet. He didn't think that I would come, because he said he invites everybody and nobody shows up. But so I'm off in football. Why not? I need something to do. And that day, I walked down those steps at Turner Boxing Gym. I saw guys fighting and bleeding, and I wanted to be a part of it. So I asked the coach to let me spar, and he's like, "Oh no, you got to be in the gym 3 months. I'm like, "No, I'm a grown man. I got in there and got my behind kicked." But man, I loved it. I loved it. It was right there that I knew that was for me. So just fell in love with it and kept it going.
Now, for context, you were 200 and some pounds at that time.
I was 327 at that
time. 327.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's cruiserweight's 200 pounds. So, did you do it when you were boxing? Where obviously you're an incredible physique right now, but were you heavy at that point, or were you still built?
Yeah, no, I was heavy. Actually, if you go back to my first post on Instagram, you'll see my first day in the boxing gym. But no, I was big. My playing weight was 288. And in the off season, I was about 327, between 315 and 330, somewhere in there.
Damn.
But obviously, as we start back training, you get the weight off. So I played, I geared up about 288, and I just played good, extremely explosive. So D-line that worked for me, But got that weight off,
right?
And it just from controlled eating and training a couple times a day, and over about 9 or 10 months, I got the weight down to about 220, and I started out at super heavyweight there, and eventually after I fought Philip Horgovich in WSB, I went down to 200, or in the amateurs it's heavyweight, but so I ended up turning pro at Cruiserweight. We did a couple light heavyweight bouts, but that's not for me. I'm too big for that. So and stayed and started to make my campaign at Cruiserweight, and it's big.
Now, were you still in college when you were an amateur, or did you complete college and then go to become an amateur?
No, I was still in college, so I was going into my junior year.
Okay. And how did your coaches take to that?
Oh, he was pissed. Like I said, that first day in the boxing gym,
Mhm.
afterwards, I called my coach and said I wouldn't be back. Not coming in for spring training, and of course he laughed at me. Coach White, he laughed and didn't show up, obviously for a couple weeks. And he called my parents and said that he was going to revoke my scholarship, and he did. And I got cursed out by my parents. And because you got to think,
Mhm.
my parents are all the way back in Atlanta. I'm 3 hours away, and I hadn't seen them in probably about 6 months.
Right.
From football and work and doing my own college thing. So when they saw
Mhm.
me again, they were like, "Oh my God, what happened to my son? What you been eating? What's going on?" They had never seen me like that.
Right.
You know. So last time I was
So
200 pounds when I was 12. So
yeah, but
so
you were always athletic because you could just tell how you're fighting, how athletic you are. So
sure.
you make that transition from now. You actually essentially rolled the dice there because you had a scholarship. You know,
Mhm.
you whether you make it to the NFL or not, you have a scholarship. You get a degree. Uh,
Yeah.
that goes a long way. You're betting on yourself. You rolled the dice and said, "I'm going to do this and bet on myself."
And at that point in time, if I'm just being honest, I didn't know what I was doing. I was in the mindset, you guys are gonna let me fight, and I'm not gonna go to jail. Cool.
Hmm.
I never at that point I never thought about pro boxing. I never thought about the Olympics, and I didn't know anything about that. All I knew was I get to fight and not go to jail. And
Yeah,
because to be honest with you, you know how they say like if you say you can do something, if you say you can't do something, either way you're right. I
correct.
don't think boxing made me realize I never really believed I was going to the league. I started, but I'm 6 feet. At the time, I was, like you said, 327 in the off season. I
Hmm.
didn't fit that cookie cutter mold. I was strong. I squatted 700 pounds. I got the power clean
Right.
and bench. I'm starting for a D2 school. Like, all right, yeah, they're paying. But, I know that's different when you're talking about 6'5", 300-pound all lean monster. This guy running a 4.5. This guy's a freak. That's NFL material, regardless of how well you play at a D2 level.
Hmm.
You might start. I started all the way through high school. That's fine, but it's different. Those guys they're there for a reason. So, in my heart, but I don't think I ever believed I was gonna make it. I knew I played well enough to get school paid for, but I
Okay.
only wanted to go to school so I could play football. You know,
Right.
so went on and got my master's, and
Oh, you did get your master's.
yeah,
Oh, see,
so
that's very good. Very good.
never planned on using it, and I guess I use it in ways a little different. I don't really just I never had to present it, but obviously the knowledge that I learned and got my business, my promotion or whatever. But you
Hmm.
know, I didn't realize what I was getting into. If I'm being honest,
Right.
I enjoyed it. I have a love for this sport. I love everything, the lifestyle.
Hmm.
You know, I love pushing myself. I love competition.
Hmm.
If
So,
you saw my training partner, you think I was crazy. So yeah,
well, I
it's
I,
been an
I went
experience.
back and I was looking at your footage there. There's not much of you as your amateur career. I have not seen much of your amateur career. How was your amateur career first?
It
How
was
far did
pretty
you go?
good. I was an Olympic alternate. I got a WSB team. Went on to get on Team USA. I didn't get to compete for the Olympics. I competed at the Olympic trials. Like I said, I was just an alternate, but that it was good. I think my record was like 44-9 or 7 or something
Hmm.
like that. So
Okay.
it was good. I got to see what I was, who I am, and I knew I had a pro style already. Like I said, I didn't think anything about pro boxing until I think we started getting the WSB tournament in 2014. Uh, I maybe heard some mention about pro box, but like I said, I'm just fighting
Right.
to get on this team that I know nothing about. But
Right.
as it got more serious, I started to wake up and then, oh, this is life. This is what I'm doing now. It kind of just people don't pick boxing. Boxing, nobody picks boxing. Boxing picks you. So
Well, that's a
It
great
worked
way to
out.
look at it because you know you have to have a certain it factor to get into boxing. Because you get a first round draft pick, you get on an NFL team, automatically you're an multi-millionaire. Automatically,
Yeah.
you know, in boxing you're doing $400, $250, $600 on small venues where there are 100 people. So you got to really love boxing. It's
Right.
also
Everybody don't
something.
have Shakur Stevenson or Anthony Joshua. Everybody don't have their road. So yeah.
Exactly. And you can't play boxing because you can get hurt. It's a very serious sport. So like I said, when I went to your amateur record, you didn't have 150, 250 fights.
Mm-mm.
You had 45 to 50, so right out of the gate, you're learning on the job. When you decided you wanted to turn pro, like you said, it chose you. Do you remember that day? Do you remember in your mind that said, this is what I want to do? This is what I want to be?
Yeah, I realized that I'm the type of guy. If I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. We might have to figure out how, but I'm the type of guy that's gonna get it done. So I knew I had great conditioning. I knew I had a lot. I had a great chin. I knew that I'm a pretty good puncher. I just felt like I could do it. I didn't take, if you saw, I didn't take a lot of damage in my amateur career.
Mm-hmm.
Heavier weight classes typically get to compete longer because they haven't taken damage, and I didn't start boxing when I was a kid. So I was fresh, and one of my first coaches told me that I would be a journeyman. I would learn on the job. I'm not journeyman like a 50-50 fighter, but you learn on the job.
Oh,
And
okay.
my whole career has been that way. I've had to learn on the job. I've only had 7 fights with the headgear on, because you remember that time where U.S. was taking the headgear off. So my amateur career was tough. I might, like you said, I don't have 150 fights, but of those fights, seven of them were easy fights. So
Right.
I had already been in pro camps. I had already committed to the lifestyle. So
Okay.
making my
Well,
own road, it came with it.
and when did you first start getting looks in the professional ranks? Because now you turned pro. You reeled off 17 straight, no, 15 straight. You reeled off 17 straight, 17 straight before you had your first loss. But did you have any looks before that or no?
When you say looks.
Well, did you have contact from a PBC or from
Oh yeah,
a
yeah,
Duncan, Cameron Duncan?
Yeah, Mikey Garcia was the first person. I was 3-0, and Mikey, he saw me sparring,
Mm-hmm.
and he asked me who I was signed to, and I told him nobody. And he's like, "Take your stuff off, let's go to my house." And we talked, and he, without Mikey Garcia, I don't think I would be where I am today. He literally helped me do everything from equipment, from living in California, from
Mm-hmm.
training with Robert Garcia, to getting me fights through Al Heyman. Um, for whatever, I guess he saw something. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he just believed in me and
Mm-hmm.
never asked me for one red cent. Never. He's just a good guy, and that's why I talk about him so much. So he
Mm-hmm.
was the first.
Well, that's
I had
pretty
obviously,
powerful. That's pretty
yeah,
powerful to say that.
I had no idea, man. I got on Instagram one day because at the time Robert Garcia was, one of my favorite coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So and I like you said, I got audacity. So I hop on Instagram and I started reaching out to people who know him, and to this day, Ivan and I are still friends. You know, go check out Ivan's Smog Shop out there in Cali. But yeah, Ivan responded back, and him and Robert were friends.
Mm-hmm.
Made it work, and he said the kid gonna bring his way out here, and I can't say no to that. And it just worked. Everything was it just worked. It clicked, and it's a really good group of people. So
Yeah, they seem that
I'm
way.
I'm grateful. Mikey blessed me that day.
Right.
That sure.
Well, you definitely do need somebody to help you along the way, and Mikey being that person, will that'll stick in your mind for a very long time. I could tell you, kind of changed your life. So as you get out there, starting to perform, now you're on Pro Box. That's where I first seen you. A fight of the year type fight against a guy Apache.
Yeah.
Alpaki, I think they call it.
Well,
That
that was on PBC. Yeah, that was on
was that
PBC.
on PBC or Pro Box?
That one was on PBC, but everything after was on Pro Box. Yeah.
Pro Box. That was fight of the year candidate where it went back and forth, but I still believe you were ahead on that fight anyway, winning that fight. But then I see you fight against Light. And that was Pro Box, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That one was controversial. I believe, after watching the fight 2-3 times, I believe you won that fight.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get the decision. But right after that, you go back again, right back into the ring, and you take another loss back to back. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What is your mentality going into the fight against Fermetta?
I had woke
Because
back up.
you really hadn't had any pushback at that point. Honestly,
Yeah,
great football.
my coach tells everybody all the time I'm 20-0. So obviously, Soulsline he pushed me. You know, he was able to. We found out some other things later on after the fight, but he pushed me.
Well,
You
you said
know,
that, not me.
yeah, we saw it's hey, whatever, man. You need that
Okay.
to beat me,
Yep.
whatever. So he pushed me, but we looked at the fight, and I can look myself in the mirror in an empty room and say, hey, David Light did not beat me. His coach, we talked about it. They know they didn't beat me. Soulsline, I would say the margins were much closer. I commend him for being a warrior and dealing with that onslaught, but I can't honestly say he beat me. I could care less what Box Break says. It's a
Right.
reason why people don't want to fight me. It's a reason why, people run from me. It's a reason why people get tired in there with me. So going into the fight with Fermenta, more or less I woke back up.
Right.
I was still talking about David Light in the locker room, going out right before I walked out to Soulsline. So I still wasn't because I'm the type of guy that believes if you put the work in. One of my interviews I said you do what you're supposed to do, you get what you're supposed to get. And I know I had done the work for David Light. Losing didn't compute. I commend him for being tough. Losing didn't compute. So after a few months, I just snapped out of it. Like, you know what? I'm still that guy. They gotta do something about it. I'm still here. I'm still a professional fighter. I don't have the beautiful record that I wanted anymore. I don't, but the world knows. Like I told before, I captured the hearts of many. Um, the fans can decide. The fans are the ones who pay. The fans are the ones who turn the TVs on. The fans are the ones who talk about us. So their word matters more than this record does. Let me get back on my horse and do what I need to do. And that's what I did. Going into Fermenta, I remember him saying that he was bigger than me and he wasn't, you don't come out punching first against a guy like this. And when I heard it, I'm like, is this guy crazy? First of all, I'm bigger than people think, but they don't realize it until they get in there with me. And you don't punch first. I still don't understand that. But I gave him his credit. I trained hard. I did everything I was supposed to do in camp. I didn't miss anything. I gave him the utmost respect and I knocked that man out. So
yeah, that didn't pan out too well for Carlos.
yeah, I don't know what they were. I don't understand what they thought was gonna happen. But you gotta think if you get in there with a runner, people have been running from me my whole career, so I'm kind of
Right.
used to tracking them down. David Light made it more difficult because he was able to smother things, but even that he took my head goes out to him for taking that, because he was inaudible after the fight. So.
The punches that were thrown that landed from you in let's go to the Light fight. Those punches were heavy
Yeah.
punches. And then even the Fermenta fight, obviously you blasted him out of there. He was done. But the amount of power that you have combined with your chin makes for an exciting fighter, which is why they put you on these shows. You're an exciting fighter to watch. And that's why I compare you to like an Evander Holyfield, but a Bruce Seldon type of style without, you have the chin and the heart though. That's the one thing Bruce Seldon did not have was the chin and the heart. You took his athletic ability, because I see the way when you fight. Take a look at that Bruce Seldon, because when I saw your fighting, I said, he fights just like Bruce Seldon. The difference is you have the chin, you have the heart, and you make for exciting fights. Which brings us to this Sunday, January 28th, fighting for the WBO International Cruiserweight Championship. You're fighting a fighter from Croatia. What can you tell me about him, and what do you guys know?
From what I saw, because I don't make it my business to watch guys over and over, because I learned that you end up making them better than they really are, and you see things and you make up things in your head. But from the couple times that I watched him, I saw he had pretty good hand speed. I saw he's got a real heart. He's coming to fight. Believe that. He's coming to fight. He's looking at his record. He's obviously a veteran. He's got more skin in the game than I do. I don't know what he did as an amateur, but I think he's tough. I think he's quick, being that he's a light heavyweight that moved up. But I'm unsure, being that he's a little older, so I know he's been through things in his life. He has family. He has things to think about. He has things that I don't concern myself with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, and I know some people from Croatia are really tough. Look at there's some tough Croatian fighters, but considering what he's gonna go through on the night, I'm unsure that he'll be willing to risk, his health for that. I know that he's coming to fight.
He is 40 years old.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I mean, I'm not the guy that always says size matters, but I'm significantly bigger than him. He's what I'm afraid of for him is the fact that I have been so checked in to this camp. I have been so checked into every session, every mistake. I've worked on it. If I'm being honest with you, I'm concerned about his health after I'm done with him, because I don't have room for error. And he's a little older than me. He's done this a lot more than I have. He had his opportunity, but at this stage in my life, I'm not letting anything deny me from what I want. I see some things he does well. Obviously, he's, like I said, he's a veteran, but the place that I plan on taking him is very uncomfortable. So you have to see what happens. But
and one of the things that I've noticed about you is you're willing to take the risk. You're willing to go out to the deep water and say, you want to either come with me or you're going to drown, one or the other. And from what I gather from you, this guy has a heart. He's going to come fight. Does that...
You show me a tough man, you show me a dead man.
So would you, now, by saying that, do you want it to go? Do you want to test yourself?
I want to protect my career, protect my team, and end this fight as quick as possible. I know what I'm capable of. I know I'll lay it all out there if I have to. I've already, my path has already been decided in boxing, as far as what I'm going to do, and I'm willing to lay it out. I can't speak for him, but he better be ready to fight for 3 minutes and 30 seconds of every round, because, I mean, I think I average like 85 punches a round. I've got great conditioning. And I'm not saying all the numbers is what matters. Obviously, the decisions between the bells on the night is what matters. But if we're basing it off of past, he's already been sort of conditioned. He's been stopped 3 times. I've never been stopped. He's really lost fights. I haven't lost. He's had so much time. He's absorbed so many more punches than I have. I'm much younger. I'm stronger. I believe I have a better ring IQ, and I really want to do physical harm to this man. I believe with every ounce of me that I'm gonna do something to him. So I just pray he can deal with it, and I pray that his doctors, that guys' doctors, stop something bad from happening to him.
Let me ask you, because of the history, Do you worry about it going to a decision? Not saying your mentality is you're going to stop them, but do you worry about it if it does go to a decision?
If I'm being honest, well, I feel like I'm gonna outbox him every round. But
Hmm.
you can never, when things go to decisions, you never know what can happen. Whether there are other things at play, and I'll just leave it at that. You never
Hmm.
know what happened. You have your 30 minutes to take care of your own business. If you go letting other people handle your business, who, not saying that people might have something against you, but maybe they didn't have the best day. Maybe they were a bit tired from the other fights that they watched. Maybe they just missed it, because I've judged fights and didn't see what went on based on where I'm sitting.
Right.
Maybe somebody just doesn't like me, but I can't concern myself with what could happen. I'd rather concern myself with what I can control, and I can control what happens between the bells for 30 minutes.
Wow. Well, we definitely are looking forward to this one because I will tell you, I watched it for every fight that you've had that's been on TV, and I've watched the whole thing on YouTube. I got into a whole YouTube loop of Bulletproof Glanton, and not one fight that I've seen, even when you're training, to be honest with you, they're not. It's not boring. It's not boring.
Nah,
When
never.
you hit the heavy bag, it sounds like a bullet going off. It sounds like a gunshot when you're turning into all those punches. You have the talent, and now you have the managerial background. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years. If I'm not retired and comfortable, definitely in the heavyweight division by then. I mean, we're being honest. That's the plan, right? We're gonna
Right.
catch a strap or two at cruiserweight and move up. I mean, I'm 225 sitting here talking to you, so yeah, definitely in the heavyweight division. 5 years. I'm 37, going about to be 37. Yeah, I still got a lot of fire in 5 years, and dangerous, dangerous. Because like I said, I don't stop training. I train all year round. We maybe move the level up and down, but it's a lifestyle. And I think that's the edge that I have on a lot of people. I don't go off and party, and I'm training when I'm. No, man, we're doing this every day, whether it's light or we're just walking through or we're film studying. You just keep it on your mind. That's how you become great. Look at Baterbia,
All right.
unsatisfied.
And that's what I was going to say. You strike me as someone who would go to the heavyweight division. Obviously, there's heavyweights that are 6'7", 6'8", that are bigger, but I think the like the Usyks of the world, you have the talent to beat those guys. The bigger guys, I think you would do better with. When I was fighting, I'd fight better against bigger guys. You have that ability because you have the pop, the hand speed, and you're very athletic. And when people go watch you, look at your athleticism compared to regular heavyweights. Go back to your Evander Holyfield, your Bruce Seldins of the world that have that athletic ability. You have that kind of ability, and that's what we're going to see from you. I can see it in the future.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you got great eyes, because a lot of people, they hear me talk about going to the heavyweight division and like, oh no, but they don't realize I got an 80-inch reach. They don't
Yeah,
realize I'm 225 pounds. I have to cut weight to make cruiserweight. They don't realize I have a granite chin. They don't realize I am a extremely hard puncher. So
right.
they don't give me enough credit. And the thing is, if you're a short man, play a short game. If you're a tall man, play a tall game. I think my attributes, they suit me perfectly, and nobody gives me credit for my defense. Obviously, you see me take some big shots, but
Oh,
but
yeah. Oh, yeah.
nobody sees the crafty defense, the blocking uppercuts from the inside, or letting punches, and that too. When it go, you talking about going to decision, a judge that can't see you taking the heat off a shot by rolling, or he's sitting here to my right, and I'm blocking a right uppercut here, and you can't see that. That's why you have to have judges that know how to watch fights for guys who block punches, who roll punches, who what I mean. So
And that's one
that
of
is
the funny thing that you were just saying about how you're blocking the punches, blocking the uppercut. Although your head will move, it doesn't
Yeah, a
hurt.
little bit.
You're blocking
Yeah,
the
no,
heat.
you're taking the heat off of it.
Yep,
You're taking the heat. I'm taking the heat
exactly.
from it. I'm rolling it. I'm coming right to you. I'm so close that you can't hit me, but I can hit you.
Right.
So
I think we were conditioned in the 90s that the heavyweights were the size of Holyfield, Tyson. Every now and then you'll get the George Foreman in there. We got conditioned in the 2000s of the Lennox Lewises, the Tyson Furies, the Klitschko's were big, not understanding. Okay, so they might hit you, but have they ever fought somebody like a Chris Bird? Look at that. What happened with Chris Bird? How they fought that way and made them look foolish. I'd be
right.
interested to see how Usyk does against a Tyson Fury, someone who's got skills similar to like what you have and can take the punch. I think he can take the punch. So that's
Yeah,
where
listen, Usyk, man. Have you ever seen feet like that?
no,
Sheesh.
not at a heavyweight. Not,
Wow. He's a cruiserweight.
that's what I mean. And there again lies the thing. You come in, I think you would come in about 225, and that would be comfortable for you. Comfortable, not missing meals, not missing meals. And again, I go back to what we first started the podcast. Incredible heart, incredible chin. The two things you have to have. Heavyweights, everybody punches hard. Some just hit harder than others. But
Mhm.
if you don't have a chin, you don't have a heart, that is a wrap in the heavyweight division. It doesn't last long.
Yep. And
So
and and between that and conditioning, a lot of these big guys,
yeah.
they've been so used to bullying everybody and so used to that punch, and then when it lands or it doesn't land, they don't know what to do. They don't have the conditioning. They're not ready to go. Yeah, he's ready to go 10 rounds. Come to 28, I'm ready to go 15. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
turn the clock off. We'll see what
Mhm.
happens. You know what I mean? So that conditioning, it plays a lot into your chin, into how much you can stay focused, or you could be down around. If I'm being honest, I was blown in the third round against Apochi because I overtrained. Everybody gives me my pride, my props, and my love for that fight, and told it was a great fight, and it was. But there's a little piece of me that feels bad because it wasn't supposed to be a great fight. I was supposed to dog walk him. Look at the first rounds, but during camp, I just kept going and going, and coach said, "Hey, we've done enough." But no, I keep going, and that's where overtraining or under resting,
Mhm.
is really, really, really bad. So the lesson was learned there too. That guy, if you look at go back and watch the first 3 rounds. That guy couldn't put a
I did.
glove on me.
Yeah,
But
wasn't good for him. It wasn't a good first couple rounds for him, and that's why I thought the fight was going to end rather quickly. But he did give him credit; he did come back, but he couldn't do
he
it.
did
But he
against a
could.
Glanton that was 60%. You see no head movement in
Right.
that fight.
It,
You
it
see no
was
head movement.
it
You
wasn't a good
see
fight for him.
injuries. We took that fight on a 20-day notice. We said yes before we knew we were getting paid because this guy, I don't know what the world sees, but he can't beat me. So
Mhm.
I do give him credit for dealing with the 60% Glenn. I do give him credit for dealing with that and matching, my output and his start, all that. Obviously, we waited on
Eh,
the rematch for a couple years now.
Oh, so
So
were you thinking to rematch him?
we agreed to it a few times and it never came to fruition. I think Ronnie Shields saved that boy's life. So
You're a very violent guy, Brandon.
I think he saved his life because he's the only person in boxing, as far as someone I fought, who I just he just
Yeah.
bothers me. But
Mhm.
other than fighting, man, I wish him well. So
Okay. Well, a couple more questions before we wrap this up. I would be remiss to ask you about the impending fight between Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou. Someone who's on the inside as you are. What do you see in that fight, and what do you think the advantages would be for an Ngannou against someone as talented as a Joshua?
a good old heart. Um, Listen, at one point in time, Anthony Joshua was on the top of the world, and him and his glow, his smile, his just everything that's made him a star, his story, it's all good and well. But out of the respect I have for him for being a fighter and climbing
Mhm.
between those ropes and doing what he's done, I don't think he can beat an Ngannou who has nothing to lose, who showed he can drop the best fighter in the world, best heavyweight in the world. He showed. he's got nothing. He would love to get in there and tear Anthony Joshua apart. Now, looking at it, obviously on paper, Anthony Joshua should make that look easy. But Anthony Joshua has a history of getting tired. He's got now history of going down. Um, I personally feel like Ngannou has really really good chances based
Okay.
on he's got nothing to lose. I did not expect that fight with Tyson Fury to go like that. Not taking anything away from either guy. Maybe Tyson didn't take him as serious as he should have. Maybe, but I know guys just don't go down for a show. That's for sure.
Right.
You know, and if I know if I know what I think I know about Tyson, he was in camp working. So I don't think Anthony Joshua has the grit. I think he has the schooling. I think he has the ability. I think he has the power. He's got all the boxing. He's in every category. He should win this fight, but this one, Ngannou is
Mhm.
coming to fight, and he has nothing to lose.
Right.
What does he got to lose?
Nothing. He's already proven his point right now. He
I
really
watched
has.
that fight with Ruiz and Joshua a million times because I knew it was going to go down that way. I knew
Mhm.
it.
Wow.
Ruiz got comfortable in the next,
Yeah. Yeah,
he's
he did.
comfortable.
He did. Unfortunately he just can't get another shot. I think he's kind of ate himself out of a shot at this point. I mean, he's got to get a shot.
Unfortunate.
He
And I
should get a
love
shot.
Ruiz, man.
Yeah,
Ruiz is
no,
man.
I think he's an incredible. I mean, Evander Holyfield said he's like, how is this guy not the heavyweight champion of the world? He'd sparred with him before he fought
Yeah.
Joshua, and he said this guy is going to be heavyweight. He had incredible hand speed, incredible power, and he was small and he could move out of the way. He just unfortunately went a different route, and you get some fighters like that every now and then. A good friend of mine is Tim Witherspoon. Happened to Tim. You know,
Good
he
old
kind of
Tim.
Tim's a great guy.
Tim.
He's a great guy. A guy who, again, reminds me of the way you fight it with your blocking the stuff. Like that's his shell. He always does that. He shows my kid how to do it. He's a great guy. But I saw Ruiz and I just thought he deserves another shot. At some point, he should get a shot at this.
I hope he does because I tell you this fun fact: Ruiz is the only fighter that I've turned down sparring for. I literally said I said to myself, why?
Mhm.
For what? At that time, I was trying to make my light heavyweight campaign. It wasn't working, and I said, no, man. I used to cut from freaking 210 to 176,
Okay.
and I was like, that was rough. But no, they said I had an opportunity to work with them, and I'm just like,
Hmm.
why? Why? What? We got similar styles, except for he's bigger and faster than me. A lot probably stronger. Why
Right.
doing that? For
Yeah.
what?
No.
For what? And I've sparred. Listen, I said my chief sparring partner. I don't even like calling him that. He's 270, 6'4", crazy good athlete. So I've been in there with monsters. Baturbiev was a monster. I've been in there with so many different. Jagba was, not what everybody thought. There's so many different guys. Ruiz, no, but he's gotta believe that. But yeah, Ngannou, Joshua, I have Ngannou picked.
Okay. Hey, that you know what's funny? It's split down the middle, and you're the first person who I spoke to that is a boxer that says Ngannou. It's mostly split. If I talk to an MMA guy, they go with Ngannou. If I talk to a
Well,
boxing guy,
think about it. If
they
you
go with
think
that.
about it, look at Tony Yoka. He was a monster, right?
Hmm.
He's losing to guys he shouldn't be losing to.
Right.
I think now I'm not saying Anthony Joshua is that bad at all because like
No,
I said,
no.
look what he's done in boxing. Like
Right.
Anthony Joshua, freaking Anthony Joshua. This Anthony Joshua we're talking about here, but
Right.
and it could be because that's part of when I fight, I can smell it on you. That's what I'm looking. I'm looking for that. I'm looking to see weaknesses. I'm looking to see where you give up. Looking to see when you have these tendencies. You can't run from that. And when somebody's got that, you never know when that little, for lack of a better term, that sissy will come out. And I think Ngannou's got enough punch and enough fortitude and grit to make anybody's, sensitive side come out. So when you've already showed the world that you have it when you have it in you. Because some guys just don't have that sensitive side. They don't have that. You knock them
Yeah.
out, they're like, all right. Look at remember Povetkin. He got
Yeah.
knocked out, and he looked at the guy all the way down. He didn't even blink. He's like, all right. So some guys just don't have that. But then you see guys after the end of the running,
Yeah.
yeah. When you show a guy that, when you show somebody like me that,
Hmm.
I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna expose it. I'm gonna stay on it and I'm gonna stay on it and I'm gonna stay on it. I'm gonna make you make a decision. I think that's what's gonna happen in that fight.
And lastly, I want to ask you, what does Bulletproof Glanton's legacy want to be?
You know what? I'm a blue collar guy. Give my best. Do great things. Obviously, cruiserweight champion. I already know I'm the best cruiserweight in the world. Um, I want to challenge myself at heavyweight and see what I can do. See how far I can go. I guess my legacy, because I don't have children. Just as of right now, my legacy. I want to die. I believe people die twice. I'm gonna die in my physical, right? But Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, you know, Ricky Hatton, all these guys, Anthony Joshua, Klitschko, these man, Sugar Ray, Chavez, these guys will never die.
Hmm.
These guys will never die. That's what I
Hmm.
want. I don't wanna be any of these fools that we see in boxing. I don't want to see any of these guys that they're jokes.
Hmm.
To them it's a show. For me, obviously it's a show because I'm working, but I think some part of me is still trying to figure out who I am, and I think I know 90% of it, but
Hmm.
there's a part of me that I haven't seen, and I think boxing is going to give that to me. So for right now, long-winded answer, I don't want to die. I don't. I want to be here for a long time. I want to. I want to do. I want this. I'm going to do this, and I'm willing to sacrifice myself to prove it.
Wow. I've asked that question a ton, and that was one of the best answers I've ever gotten. And I'm not saying that because you're here. It was one of the best. When I first watched your stuff, and I'm going to go off on a tangent a little bit here. I didn't know who Brandon was. I didn't have that idea. And it's one of the reasons why I do the podcast. I want people to, because boxing needs a place to have the backstory of fighters like you. You are an intelligent, great fighter who has a lot to give to the boxing world. And if I'm the vehicle to get people like you out there, people like Tevin Farmer out there, people like I got another young kid coming on soon, I'm gladly take that torch and go with it, because people need to hear your story. People need to see who Brandon Bulletproof Glanton is. And I believe you are on your way to leaving a legacy here in boxing. And again, I'm not saying that because you're here. I'm watching your fights. I got into a whole YouTube loop of Bulletproof Glanton, and I have never once been disappointed. I have never once turned that YouTube channel off. And I wanted to
And
thank you for
that,
coming on. I wanted to thank you for coming on. And if you could give out your social media.
oh man, thank you,
Oh,
thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Obviously go check me out, Team Bulletproof on IG, Team Bulletproof. Same thing on Twitter, Team Bulletproof, except with two O's. You can catch me on TikTok at Team Bulletproof Official. Go check out my trainer too, Jason Jones __ Jason, Coach Jason. That man is special, and he's not one for the camera. He's not one for TV and gossip and comments. That guy is another blue collar guy who he doesn't have the big name with the Robert Garcias and the Sugar Hills, and he doesn't care. He
Mhm.
makes violent fighters. He turns people into absolute animals. That man is a savage, and without him, I called Jason one day. when I was 6-0. I had my time with Jason with boxing, and we could save it for another day. But for whatever reason, I hadn't spoken to this man in about 2 years, and I just called him, and he said, "Come." And ever since then, I believe this is our 13th or 14th fight together. That man changed my life. So a lot of the credit for what you guys see and the YouTube videos you enjoy, Jason Jones, he's a monster. Believe that.
Well, you never disappoint. I could tell you that. And we look forward to you this Sunday, January 28th, fighting for the WBO International Cruiserweight Championship. Now, I always ask people to make a commitment to me. No excuses. You win that championship Sunday. You come back to the podcast, show my audience what hard work does.
Absolutely. That fight is showing at 3 p.m. Eastern. So, matter of fact, hold me to it. I'll give you an interview that day if you're up to it.
I'm up to it. I'd love it after it's over. I mean, it's something that I'm looking forward to watching. You're a great fighter. I told your manager immediately when I saw it, I said, this kid can fight. This kid can absolutely straight out fight. And he emphatically said, absolutely he can. So we're looking forward to big things from you.
And did he tell you the story about how I met him?
No, he did not. Go quickly.
Listen,
give it to us.
We were in Dubai getting ready to work out, and I was at this beautiful boxing gym, the Kamani Club, and I'm just kind of riding the wave of, because it was Miller's show. And I see, and obviously, like, I've always been skeptical, even in WSB, fighting outside the country, but I'm just seeing a bunch of people, like, I haven't seen, but I see this big black giant, and I'm like, the Russians sent this big black guy over here to do something to me. I had made up this whole story in my head. I made up this whole story, and like, if you look, like, I don't know if you ever seen him in person, but if you look him in his eyes, that man is so intimidating. And I'm a fighter, and I'm like, and I even told my trainer, I don't know who that is, but if it happens, it happens. It's gonna be, and I just like, hey, listen, whatever happens. I didn't realize he was watching me to pick me up. You know what I mean? So he was the nicest guy in the world. This guy has done nothing but try to get me to the next level. So Nova Sports, Elliot, when I call you Napper, thank you, brother.
Yes, you know what's funny, when he reached out to me on Instagram, and I'm like, who in the world is this guy? Because my brother, I know, but here's the thing: it's not only just how big. That is the best dressed guy I've ever seen at all, ever. Everything is sharp. I mean, my brother, it interviews a lot of bodybuilders. So I thought it was some bodybuilder trying to get a hold of my brother. And I started scrolling through. I'm seeing Jake Paul, Tevin Farmer. I'm like, who is this? And then he just said, hey, would you want to hook up here and get some of my fighters? I said, holy cow, he is an intimidating guy in pictures, let alone in person.
When you see that man in person, you like, yo, chill. And it's just like, but you notice things. And I notice the small things. I'm really, I see things. Notice clean fingernails. You notice clean teeth, always clean shaven, well spoken, friendly. But you can tell he has it in him. Like that guy, and he told me a little bit of his story. He's a good guy. He saw me fighting, and he was just like I said. He's sitting at the table like, because he knew the guy was sparring pretty well,
right?
And he knows I'm cutting weight, and I almost knocked this guy out of his skin. So, and he's just sitting there like, and I just keep, even while I'm sparring, I'm looking like he's gonna jump over here in a minute. And no, man, I didn't realize. I told him like, bro, I thought I had to fight you next.
No, but he's super cool, a great guy.
Yeah.
Anything you ever ask for, he's there. He gave me
that guy will give you the shirt off his back, man. That guy.
Well, they're nice. I'll tell you what, they're very nice, expensive shirts. I'll take one if he's giving it away.
Yeah.
Because he is dressed sharp. So, but he was nice enough to get me to hook up with you. I appreciated him because I loved your fighting style, and I look forward to big things from you.
Sure. Hey, listen, I promise you, every time you see me out, I'm gonna be going hard. That's for sure.
And we will watch you as you grow. Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Bulletproof Glanton. Follow him on social media. Like and subscribe to his channel. Like and subscribe to our channel. There's a Zapata Brand Boxing Podcast. We'll see you on Sunday.
See you soon. Don't blink.
Thanks for watching the Zapata Brand Podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast and listen where all podcasts are available.